Dungeon Crawler Carl is the first entry in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Written by Matt Dinniman, this book was released on September 21st, 2020, and it is my first ever introduction into the lit RPG genre. Lit RPG meaning literary role-playing game. Essentially a video game in book form. Does this book play like a good video game? Well, my name is The Advocate, and today I'm an advocate for answering just that. Thank you all so very much for your support. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy. So a bit of history about this book and series at large. Dungeon Crawler Carl was actually originally self-published by Matt Dinniman himself on Amazon, and after its amazing success, probably thanks in no small part to its fantastic audiobook, the Dungeon Crawler Carl series was then bought out, at least the text rights anyway, by Penguin Random House, which they then took the opportunity to re-release each of the Dungeon Crawler Carl stories into hardcover format, where each of them also includes a novella that wasn't originally available in the original releases in each of these hardcover books. But obviously, capitalism should not be the end-all be-all for what is considered a viable success for a book, but rather the content of the book itself. And I gotta say, guys, in my admittedly very subjective opinion, I think the contents of this Dungeon Crawler Carl book are very, very good, because Dungeon Crawler Carl, at least this first entry in the series, is a very fun story. It's wild, it's fast-paced, it's got a lot of absurd meta humor, and I love it. Sure, the comedy is rather juvenile, but I think it works because it's intentionally juvenile. A lot of the meta humor held within feels a lot like the character of Abed Nadir from the TV show Community, where it's constantly making references to various pop culture things such as Survivor, Running Man, Steve Irwin, and even Harambe, and it's all sorts of meme-tastic fun that I can't help but just smile every time I read it. Now, it doesn't get overindulgent with these meta-references, kind of like what happens with the Ready Player One book, where that book is constantly referencing things from the 80s, and it gets a tad cringy with how much it references, but this book references just enough to give you enough flavor text to make you smile, without kind of overindulging in it to the point where it's cringy. So yes, it's a fun story. But with all that said, what is Dungeon Crawler Carl even about? In the middle of the night, buildings all around the world happen to all of a sudden collapse simultaneously and instantaneously with zero warning, forcing anyone and everyone who is caught outside of a building or a structure to make their way towards these mysterious stairwells that all of a sudden happen to appear soon after the planet essentially collapses into a two-dimensional plane. Those who enter into these stairwells find themselves trapped in the middle of this massive video game-like dungeon, and Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, happen to be two such individuals, as they soon discover that they are contestants in the middle of an intergalactic reality TV death game within this dungeon, where the last person who is able to make it the furthest down towards the dungeon bottom wins an unspecified grand prize. So, like I said, this is a pretty fun story, and I think part of the reason why this book sticks in so many people's minds is because, on top of it just being a fun book to read through, Dungeon Crawler Carl is also a pretty fun book to listen to as well. Jeff Hayes, the audiobook narrator from Sound Booth Theater, does a phenomenal job here with all the voice work. So much so that I was gobsmacked to learn that all the characters within this book are all voiced by just this one man. In addition to his natural voice, Jeff Hayes also uses a wide variety of voice modifying tools in order to enhance the listening experience for the reader. He uses a robotic filter for achievement notifications, he uses a treble-boosted modulator for Princess Donut's voice, and then he also uses an echo effect for large crowd scenes. Essentially, every scene within this book uses some kind of distinct audiobook tool in order to better immerse you into this world. But although the comedic timing of the audiobook narration is fantastic, the main meat and potatoes of what makes this book so good is the physical text itself. And the text, I'm happy to report, is all, in my opinion, very fantastically written. The dialogue is hilarious and naturally written, and without giving too much away, There's a particular animal who talks within this book whose ridiculous and dramatic personality shines so much that they became a clear highlight for me in virtually any fictional book I've ever read. Outside of the dialogue, though, I think Matt Dinniman's writing still shines with a lot of hilarity and just fantastic comedic timing. Whether it's the writing for the loot boxes, the menus, the achievements, the patch notes, it's all written very cleverly with a lot of fun little tweaks and twists that elevate this story to be just a very fun and playful read. Even when Dinniman isn't using the video game mechanics as a clever way to quote-unquote tell, not show, his more traditional exposition still works surprisingly well. Dinniman is self-aware, and his humor, while admittedly subjective, keeps you entertained enough that you don't really notice or care that the expository information is being delivered to you in a slightly haphazard way. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's just a lot of fun. So yes, the strongest aspect about this story is definitely its humor. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the deeper themes running beneath the surface of this book. Because yes, despite its wacky premise, there's some surprisingly relatable stuff here. Without delving too deeply into spoilers, Dinniman satirizes reality TV manipulation here, showing that just like how in our very real-world reality shows, producers occasionally shape outcomes and frame footage to fit the story they want to tell within a certain narrative, the producers here of this reality TV show also kind of push Carl, Donut, and various of the other crawler participants into certain narratives in order to fit this narrative they're trying to tell for quote-unquote maximum entertainment value. Beyond that, though, I think there's an even broader and even deeper critique here of modern internet culture. The TikTokification of our society, if you will, where everything, even genuinely authentic moments, have now become kind of performative and mined for the internet for the sake of views, likes, and yes, even advertising dollars. And while Dinniman masks a lot of that ugliness from the ugly side of the internet with humor, it's clear he's holding up a mirror to our very real world, just with laughter and chaos. Now, I know I've been glowing about this book and singing its praises for a while now, so you probably have gotten the point that I really like this book, but I do have one personal nitpick with regards to this first entry of Dungeon Crawler Carl, and that's its cliffhanger ending. Now, this is a super subjective gripe on my part, I know, and honestly, this ending was probably intentional on Dinniman's part, but man, I was really frustrated with where this book leaves off. I literally said, "Oh Matt, you asshole, you got me hooked to this point, and now you're gonna leave it off there?" But that's okay, because I've already picked up the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series called Carl's Doomsday Scenario, and I've already started reading it, and so far this book has been pretty great as well. It's just a heads up that if you happen to pick this book up and find yourself getting invested in it, know that this is very much a part one of a long-running series. There will be a to be continued, just as I'm sure there will be a to be continued for the next book, and the next book, and the next book. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. And the next book, and the next book. But that aside, all in all, Dungeon Crawler Carl is an absolute blast, and my video game brain had a lot of fun with it. There is a lot of swearing, so if you're not cool with that, then you're probably not going to be cool with this book. The humor is a tad reference heavy, so if you're not big into pop culture, book might not also be for you. And there is a ton of video game mechanics that if for some reason you despise video games, then this book probably won't be a lot of fun to read, but because I'm a fan of all of those things, well, maybe swearing not so much, but you know what I mean, then I love this book and I'm excited to see what comes next. But what say you? Have you read Dungeon Crawler Carl? What did you think of it? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, also let me know what your favorite video game of all time is. Although if it's not Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, or Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, then I don't want to hear it. But regardless, thank you so very much for watching this video, guys. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, the Advocate, out.